music for you today. Let's go ahead and get it started. Enjoy the music. Alright, family. Welcome to another edition of Melon Economic News. It's an afternoon edition. I just got in from work. Alright, so let's go ahead. We're going to go ahead and get it started. Alright. I'm going to take a look at some of the markets, how they ended over the weekly close. Alright. So the S&P 500, they closed up today. The Dow 30 closed up today. And the Nasdaq closed down negative 66.05. The Dow 30 closed up about 131.6 points, and the S&P 500 about 1.78 to about a little bit under 5%. Okay, just 0.05%. Okay, all right. The Russell 2000 also closed down 10.48 points. That was just under 1% at about 0.70%. All right. Crude oil closed up for the work week here in the U.S. to about $37.39, a jump of 9 cents. And get into some more currencies over here. All right, the euro to the U.S. dollar was up about 0.21%. All right, and the 10-year bond was negative about 2.34%. The GBP to U.S. dollar is down about 0.05%. The U.S. dollar to the Japanese yen closed up about 4 cents to about 0.04%. All right, Bitcoin to U.S. dollar was up 76.93 to about 10,404.89. All right, okay. CMC crypto was up about $4.13 to about $227.45. All right, and in the final market news, the FTSE 100, they closed up for the week ahead. Remember, they were already asleep. They just getting ready to start their Saturday, getting ready to wake up over in Europe. They closed up about 28.77 points. All right, and the Nikkei 225, they were also the Asian markets are up. They should be going on Saturday morning right about now. About 171.002. All right. So let's get into some news, and I told you we got some big ones here for you, family. Let's look at market short. This comes from goldmoney.com. All right, www.goldmoney.com. Their market reports silver shortage. All right. Last week, after last week extremely volatility, gold and silver consolidated this week. Will go down $10 on the balance at $1,933 this morning, European time. As silver was up 65 cents at $27.05. The position with silver is tricky for the bullion banks, which generally managed to steer clear of being short. In recent weeks, we've managed to reduce the short. In the recent weeks, they have managed to reduce the net short of positions to 3,736 contracts on August 11th, and we will get an update after hours tonight in a long-term chart complex. All right. It appears that go down more in a little bit article. It appears that the Swiss refiners are concentrating on gold to the exclusion of silver, which has aggravated the shortage of silver bars, which also the feedback for production of silver coins. Meanwhile, public demand of the SLV ETF continues apace, forcing demand for more bullion. SLV now accounts for about 50% of the LBMA stocks. LBMA, the London Bullion Metals Association. All right. And stocks, the rest being stored by industrial users, with some in the hands of investors, who, for the moment, enjoying the ride. All right, it's therefore hardly surprised that bullion banks have a hands-off attitude, effectively swinging the short position into COMEX futures, into hedging producers. All right, and gold, the bullion bank swaps are gradually reducing their net shortage, as shown in the table below. All right, you can go ahead and go into the article itself. but we seeing a shortage of silver going around. Okay, all right. There is also all right. This next topic comes from Newsmax Finance. All right, or Newsmax.com. All right, so there's www.newsmax.com. Okay, this was dated today. Oil traders snap up tankers and second wave of glut is near. All right. So we got a big jump in the glut in the oil again, all right? Some of the world's biggest oil traders are getting ready for the possible resurgence of a coronavirus-induced glut of crude oil, crude and fuel, snapping up giant tankers for long-month charters so that they can be ready to store excess barrels if necessary. The chartering spree is likely to alarm Saudi Arabia, Russia, and their allies, as it indicates that the oil traders believe that the crude market is moving into a surplus after OPEC Plus managed to create a deficit earlier this summer with output cuts. All right, the Trafalgar Group, the world's second largest independent oil trader, in recent days booked about a dozen super tankers that can hold a total of 24 million barrels of oil, according to people familiar with the matter. And all about 18 similar charters have been arranged with Royal Dutch Shell PLC, Vitol Group, and Lukoil Oil among those hiring the vessels, according to shipbrokers' list of bookings seen by Bloomberg. All right. So the article, go ahead and go to Newsmax. Newsmax.com forward. We'll read one last one in this article right here. All right. Shares of oil tanker companies jumped. Those of Frontline Ltd or Limited advanced 5.9% to 69.10. Norwegian kroner in Oslo on Friday. Euronav NV climbed 5.2% from 5.2% to 8.165 euros in Brussels. The two firms operate large fleets of supertankers. Wider equity markets were mixed in Europe. All right, so they're preparing for the winter months. People doing less driving, so they're preparing for a glut in their oil. They're trying to find anywhere they can store it. All right, anywhere, all the ways they can store any oil. They can get their hands on it and be able to store it. All right. And then our final story for today. This broadcast comes from ZeroHedge.com. Okay, ZeroHedge.com. All right. Budget deficit hits record $3 trillion as U.S. spends 100% more than it collects year to date. All right. We're now spending over GDP. All right. GDP, gross domestic product. All right. How much money we got coming in annually every year? We're now spending 100% more than what we can come into. That means we're spending over. We're now operating in the full overhead of what we for debt to GDP. All right. For those who have been following the record surge in U.S. public debt, excluding the roughly $100 trillion in off-balance sheet obligations. All right, so read it aloud to you again, family. All right. For those who have been following the record surge in U.S. public debt, excluding the roughly $100 trillion in off-balance sheet obligations. All right, so you got public debt, what they put out to everybody, but then you have the off-balance stuff, what they don't put on. All right. Continuing, which exploded by $3 trillion in 3 months following the COVID shutdown, and which an all-time high of 26.7 this week. All right, we'll be all too aware of the U.S. budget deficit this year and every year after. It will be staggering. All right. Sure enough, the latest just released deficit reports, the Treasury announced in August, the U.S. burned through another $200 billion. That's billion with a capital B, 200 billion, which was a sharp increase from the 62.9 billion deficit in July, when government receipts soared thanks to the July 15th tax date, even as spending remained in the stratosphere. That said, the number was improved from the record 862 billion deficit recorded in June. Specifically, according to the Treasury in August, government outlays were 423.3 billion, roughly the same as the 428 billion the U.S. spent last July, and improvement in the record outlays of 1.1 trillion. All right, her receipts slumped in the July record 563.5 billion, which was a one-time surge thanks to the July 15th tax filing deadline. I mean, people got an extension in the tax deadline, so that's why those receipts got bigger. All right, to just 223.2 billion. The questions of why anyone still pays taxes in a time of helicopter money when the Fed simply purchases whatever debt the Treasury issues remains. I'm gonna read that for you again because that's very important. Get the gist of what was just I said in this article. All right, family. While receipts slumped from the July record of 563.5 billion, which was a one-time surge thanks to the July 15th tax filing deadline, so too 223.2 billion. The question of why anyone still pays taxes at a time of helicopter money when the Fed simply purchases whatever the debt the Treasury issues remains. All right. So that's the question right there. Why do we still pay taxes when they're giving out cheap money everywhere? Just go out and cheap money this, cheap money that. They're handing out money to everybody and their mama who wants to come in and complain about it. Their businesses need to be saved. The airlines need money. You got casinos need money. You got strip clubs need money. Everybody needs money. Just giving money out left and right. All right. And why are we still paying taxes on money that's based on the fiat fractional reserve banking system anyway, and it's based on confidence. The money you hold in your wallets, your purses, whatever, that dollar-based currency, that greenback, it's nothing more based on confidence. Confidence is lost, that currency is shot. All right. Finish up here. What all this means is that on year-to-date basis, with a 1 month left to go in the fiscal 2020, remember we went over fiscal versus calendar year, all right? Fiscal year starts fiscal year starts 1 October, ends 30 September, all right? Calendar year goes by the calendar year you have on your calendar. It starts 1 January, ends 31 December, all right? The U.S. spent 6.054 trillion and collected just 3.048 trillion, which means outlays are a record 100% higher than receipts, which also includes the 7.8 billion received last month and 72.2 billion year to date in deposits of earnings by the Fed. All right, get that, family. U.S. spent 6.054 trillion and just collected 3.048 trillion. All right, that is double what the U.S. government has coming in. All right, that is 100% over what we get coming into this country. You cannot survive on that. None of us can go to the bank and ask for a loan when we can't pay it back. Especially, we can't even live if we spend 100% more than what we have income coming in. All right. So that's it for today's edition of Mela Economy News. Family, we're gonna start something today where we ask you to do research on it. This is to help you and us as well get better. Some of the categories we want you to do research on. Look up the unemployment statistics, specifically the U3 and the U6. All right, there are others. Look those up too. All right, please look it up. Let's educate ourselves, get better. All right, thank you again for joining us another edition of Common News. All right, be safe out there, family. Please be safe. Protect each other. Be one forever, without question. Let's get it started.